All right, let's do it. Let's talk some basketball. Ty Butler in the house. Ty D Butler is where you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter. Shout out to all of you who have subscribed to the YouTube page at Ty D Butler. Get at us in the comments, man. So much to get to today on the program. Um, got the first half of the NBA season officially wrapping up tonight. All-Star Weekend is ahead of us. We are going to talk about the tanking issue, of course. It's that time of the year, y'all. Tanking and how to fix the All-Star game. You can set your watch to it. But let's get into the NBA conversation. Poppa Left, who does an awesome job with the At Your Knicks podcast. Make sure you subscribe to that on YouTube. Um, First time on the show, man. I saw you was on the New York Pro Sports live stream last night with my boy Dexter Henry. Appreciate you popping on, my G.
Yeah, man. Dexter's a really good guy. I appreciate him for opening up the doors and also appreciate you for reaching out to me. Excited to talk Knicks.
Absolutely. So I got to give you the backstory to this because I know for you it feels random. But you came on my algorithm because I put out a tweet about Jalen Brunson and how I thought that while yes, a great player, obviously, and an MVP candidate, one of the best um, players in the league, and obviously the best player on this Knicks team, sometimes the ball dominance I just don't enjoy watching because it just takes away from the Knicks being able to beat some of these better defensive teams. And I sent that tweet out. I got crushed by Knicks Twitter because how dare you say anything remotely critical about them? So then my algorithm shows me something that you had said along the same lines about like how you want him to get his offensive, his playmakers more involved. And so that's how I found you. And then I saw you was on with Dexter Henry last night. So I was like, yo, let's get him on the show.
Yeah, I was actually I appreciate that, but I think that the game against Indiana it was weird. I woke up and I put out a tweet about number 11 has taken some unnecessary hero ball shots, and usually people are telling me you're a miserable human being, go find the nearest place of traffic and go run in it just because I say something about basketball. But for some reason, after that Indiana game, people were like universally saying Jalen should have passed the ball, which I found to be a little strange because I didn't really find too much difference in his process on Monday night, or what was it, Tuesday night,
Tuesday,
right?
yeah.
I didn't find something so dramatically different in his process. I thought he pretty much played his kind of status quo game. So sometimes within the Knicks fan base, people are they wear their heart on the sleeve. They get very emotional, myself included for sure. And I just feel like the team is not a team that has multiple goals. It is a team with one goal. And you got to be able to face the criticism if you want to be an NBA champion. And if that's your goal and you don't want to do anything other than that, you're singularly focused, as Leon Rose has said, you got that comes to the territory. Like the smallest margins of excellence is going to be the difference between who's the last team standing in June.
So I think sometimes people, I do TV on SNY and I'm doing the radio stuff on ESPN in New York. They weaponize my Laker fandom in a way where it's like, man, we hear you talking about the Knicks. We don't like you. You're a Laker fan. Go talk about the Lakers. And it's like, guys, if you just can just, I don't know, be a little bit smarter, it would make my life much more easier if the Knicks go on deep playoff runs because the radio station has me on after every Knick game in the postseason, which is great. I love that. Basketball is my favorite sport. And yes, I do root for the Lakers, but yeah, I got mad Knick fans in the family. And I also like you feel the energy of the city is just different when the Knicks are great, man. Like, I'm a Yankees fan, I'm a Jets fan. Like, obviously, you see the Giants and the Rangers, but yo, when the Knicks are really good, man, like they stormed the streets in the 2020 playoffs, man, after beating the Hawks in one game. Like the one game they beat the Hawks, it was game 2 of that playoff series. So when they're good, like it's just a different feeling, and I root for that. It's a phenomenal thing, man.
Yeah, I think Knicks fans are.
Why is fan base so damn sensitive?
I wouldn't say that they're sensitive. I would say that they're passionate, and sometimes they let their passion dictate their communication. But I will say this: I think most NBA players, because the NBA players, this is their league, and they play for the fans, and the fans kind of make this kind of like relationship happen. I would say most NBA players would rather the quote unquote sensitivity or passion, however you want to label it. I think they would rather a tree fall in the forest and make the sounds that the Knicks fans make versus the trees that fall around the NBA, whether you're talking about Memphis or Washington or different cities in the league where from night to night it's kind of like a ho hum experience. I think that Knicks fans, whether they're the enemy or whether they're the champion or the hero in terms of who's playing, I think that NBA players, and it, like you said, it's good for the league. Whether they're the good guy giving you good comments or bad comments, I think that they drive a lot of engagement and they make the league exciting when they're a part of the playoff scenario, not just as like a happy to be here kind of contender like they were in 2020. I think the last couple runs that they've went on, even in the series in these playoffs, the Philadelphia 76ers series a couple years ago, one of the more entertaining series just from a basketball perspective, every game down to the wire. So Knicks fans, they're very into the team, and a lot of times, more than not, they go overboard. But I just think for the product itself, it's better that we're here than not.
Kevin Zwicker 96 looking at us on YouTube, a Knicks Twitter legend, the GOAT. So shout out Poppa Left. Poppa Left joining us here. I'm trying to get, I don't know, I'm on Twitter right now trying to get this thing popping. It usually shows up on my feed, but for some reason it's not. I want to get this retweeted just so people can know we're live. So that's why if you see me looking down my phone, that's what I'm doing. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. They're showing a live video on my profile, but it's not like actually showing up on my feed. So got to figure that out. All right, you're watching that game last night. I thought it was huge, bro, because if the Knicks lose and you now go into the All-Star break, back-to-back losses, and you are tied with the Cavs and I know, look, it's still early, right? But you're tied with the Cavs in the loss column. So you're like inches away from being a playing team. It's just not a good feeling going into the All-Star break, especially when you're coming off of a stretch where you had won, 9 straight games, 9 of 10, and you had seen you get past the All-Star break. So sneaky big game last night, and they answered the call, man. What a dominant performance. Jose Alvarado looked like Ray Allen out there, and the Knicks and a collective effort was just extraordinary and picked up what I thought was a monstrous win. So your thoughts watching the game, your biggest takeaways, and how do you feel now as this Knicks team hits the All-Star break?
Yeah, I didn't think that we were going to win the game up until 6:50 when I took the train going down to Midtown to meet up with Dexter. Once I got that alert that Embiid wasn't going to play, I felt like there was a different environment to that game that took over. And I think the Knicks did a really good job of, when you coach your guys up to play basketball, the coaches always tell you work the offense to get a layup. And it's a nice ethic, but in reality, it's not necessarily always possible. The Knicks started that game and got 4 shots at the basket, and they were all layups or dunks. And I thought that they put the gas on when they got up 16-4. Philly made a little bit of a push to keep it a 10-point game, but I was really impressed with their sense of urgency to take care of a Philadelphia 76ers team to a point where you could see Philadelphia wanted to head home and kind of like pack it in for the All-Star break. But I thought I don't think if the Knicks would have lost last night, it would have taken on a big issue. Obviously, there's the penalty of the standings that you have a game here and there, and then later on in the year, it's the big game, but all these games are big. I do think it was really big for Jose Alvarado to shake off his performance against Indiana because he had a really good start against Boston, and then it was really Jekyll and Hyde because against Indiana, he was a big reason why we lost that game. I'm going to be very honest, and I'm a big Jose Alvarado fan. But he was just getting cooked religiously by TJ McConnell. And when you wear a New York jersey, New York sports,
It's heavy.
guys, it's heavy and people can turn on you fast. They love on you fast. It's toxic as it gets. And I thought it was really big for him to, just shake that one off right away and get back into who he is, which is a pest and a guy who's confident and a guy who fires up his teammates. So I thought more important than the win, I think the standout was that he got back into the groove of why Leon Rose acquired him at the deadline.
Ooh, you know what I love about this? So we just met 5 minutes ago and we already have a disagreement.
Okay.
Already have a disagreement. Jace, the company, afternoon, gentlemen. What's up? Y'all keep checking in via the comments, man. Whether you are on YouTube or chiming in from X, we want to hear from you. Talking to Poppa Left. So I understand what you mean emotionally as far as the Jose Alvarado component. You know this better than most because you are part of the fan base. Yes, we can turn on you quickly, but Alvarado, Brooklyn kid, we had heard rumors all season long that he was going to be a Knick. It finally happened. He's going to have a grace period, right? What's the conversation like if the Knicks, after all the success that they had, which by the way, saw them gain no ground in the Eastern Conference because while they're winning, so is everyone else. What's the conversation like if they hit the All-Star break, losers of 3 or 4 games, which includes once again getting stomped out by the Pistons, losing a miserable home game to the Pacers, which is arguably it's either that or the Mavs game as your worst game of the season, and then losing to a shorthanded Philadelphia team with no Grimes and no Embiid. 3 or 4 losses, and you got to sit on this for 5 days, and we're once again doing the whole, well, Giannis this summer. Like, if that's the scenario you're in, obviously it's not doom and gloom, but in this city with that fan base, with these expectations, there is going to be a lot of, whether you like it or not, overreaction. And so that's why I thought, and I understand what you mean about Jose Alvarado, but I thought last night's game was just like as big of a February 11th game as you could have was that for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right in terms of the conversation would be completely different, and that is just I have this adage on Twitter, which it's very caveman kind of mentality: win good, lost bad. If they win, they don't matter. The process could be the same.
Yeah.
You win the game, everybody's talking about how the team is amazing, everything's going well, and if you bring something critical up during a win, fans are like, yo, we just won the game. This is the best team we've had in 25 years. They hold all these standards over the actual criticism, and you've dealt with it. And then if you lose and you say something positive in a loss, people are like, yo, we lost the game. So it's like the results kind of overtake the process. My only thing with last night and why I put it on an island is there's so many baked in excuses to the NBA regular season. And this is a team that they could do whatever they want in the regular season. At the end of the day, when it gets to April 18th, when game one starts, nobody's going to give a damn about any of these games. It's gonna come down to, can they execute in the postseason? You saw the Indiana Pacers make a run as a 4 seed last year. We've lost home court advantage 3 straight seasons against Miami and then Indiana twice, our rivals. So we've been a team that fought our tail off to get the 2 seed against the Chicago Bulls on the last day of the season. So all these quote unquote big games, they're only as consequential as your emotions allow them to be, because there is a little finite nature to them. At the end of the day, it's an 82 game season, and then you're prepared for a 2-month stretch where another narrative can take off.
So that last point, or that last part, was the setup for the point that I want to make.
Got it.
Yes, you are 100% right in that once we get to the opening weekend of the NBA playoffs, it's kind of like all the records get erased. Like, we don't care what your seeding is. Let's just see what you can do for the next couple of months. You're right. But my argument is, in the process leading up to that, because I'm a Yankee fan, so I go through this. we're living in the day and now, so we react to things as they happen, right? Like we're seeing, OG's out with an injury. It's like, what's our level of concern? He's gonna come back, be awesome, and then we're like, oh, why were we ever concerned? OG's been great, right? So in the interim, we are kind of building a narrative about this team and whether or not we think they can win the championship. And for all of the people who say, and this is what I really want to harp on, like the regular season doesn't matter. All right, well, who was the best regular season team last year? Oh, that was the Thunder. They won the championship. How about 2 years ago? Who was the best regular season team? Oh, the Celtics. Yeah, they won the championship. Oh, the Nuggets. Didn't they get the 1 seed 3 years ago? Yeah, and then they won the championship. So, as much as we want to make the case that the NBA regular season is meaningless, history tells us it's not all that meaningless. Of course, there are upsets that happen, but for the most part, your the best teams get honored by what they accomplish as far as what they did in the regular season, requisite with what they prove in the playoffs for the most part.
Right. Yeah, I think it's why you play the games, though. I
Yeah, of
think at
course.
the end of the day, it's if it was all analytical like that, I think it would take the excitement out of these conversations and the what ifs. When you have a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers last year, who jumped into the playoffs, winning 60+ games, going on 20 some odd game winning streaks. I think when you see a team run into an Indiana team that just has hot stretches at the end of games. It is what makes sports special. And if the Knicks win, they're going against analytics regardless. Like they got the small point guard, they got Brunson and Cat. They got the 53-year title curse. This is not a team that has Michael Jordan on it. This is not a team that has LeBron James or Kobe Bryant on it. This is a team that's going to have to pack together, will together, and prove everybody
Yeah.
wrong, including some of their own fans. So I think like no matter what happens in this regular season, it looks like Detroit has pulled ahead comfortably enough. They're clearly the regular season kings in the Eastern Conference. We'll see if that can hold true. I will say this about Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a fantastic franchise that's built their thing the right way, and they got rewarded for it last year. But well, with that said, even with the start of the season, people were crowning them like they didn't get pushed to 7 games by a 4 seed Indiana team.
Yeah.
So they're gettable, and they got pushed to 7 games by the Denver Nuggets, who were kind of like walking in mud a little bit during the
Yeah,
regular
and you
season
could
as well.
argue
So.
that injuries decided both of those series, right? Like if Aaron Gordon doesn't get hurt in a game 7, then I think Denver wins, and then Tyrese Halliburton, the way that he looked at the start of that game 7 in the finals, like Indiana was going to have a punch of shot. So no, I get what you mean. I just think that I think there's been too much of a massive overcorrection where we've gone from okay, maybe the regular
I hear
season
you.
isn't the end all be all to oh, it's just meaningless. So why are we watching? Why are we so emotionally invested if it doesn't matter? But yeah, we'll ultimately end up seeing what
You're
happens.
you're a Yankee fan. I mean, remember last year the big week we had I think we had 6 games against the Astros and the Blue Jays, and we took
Yep.
2 out of 3 from Houston, and
Mhm.
then we lost that Friday night game with Cam Schlittler, and then we came back the next two days and we beat
One.
Toronto. And that
Yeah.
gave us a little bit of confidence, like maybe this team is a championship caliber team. And then they got into the playoffs and
And then
they
yeah,
weren't able to get it done. And again, those are 2 teams. They had the same regular season record. They just one team just had the tiebreaker on them. So sometimes you can get a tell
mhm,
in the regular season on what a team can do. Sometimes, like the Yankees, the other year where they went to the World Series, it was only a matter of time before their sloppy baseball kind of like took care of them in the end. You
yeah,
can't escape your demons if you haven't corrected them. So I do think that you're right about a massive overcorrection. I just think that at some level, you also got to look at what era of basketball we're in right now, and it's a little bit different than the eras of the dynasties and where we're grouping all these analytics together. I think we're in an era of parity, and we're in an era of a lot of teams can. We haven't had a back-to-back champion since
18, 19,
18, 19.
17,
So
17,
that's a
18.
pretty significant
Yeah.
chunk of time.
Yeah. So It's funny you mentioned that Yankees run last year because you remember like the narrative around them was they can't be good teams, and then you had that Astros, Blue Jays, Tigers, Red Sox stretch, where it's like
Yeah,
this is gonna be
the 12
yeah,
game
this
stretch.
this is going to be the stretch
We
that
went 8 and
decides.
4, right?
Yeah, and they did very well, and then won one playoff
They
series.
lost 2 to the Tigers, right?
Yeah, lost two to the Tigers. They might have beaten the Red Sox 2 or 3 if I remember correct.
Yep.
But yeah, so that we thought it answered the question, and then they won one playoff series.
Right.
And so all right, so we hit the All-Star break here. What what's your biggest concern about this team right now?
I I could tell you right now, it's the hidden emotions of the locker room. It's the hidden emotions of the locker room. It's the roles over goal. It's a lot of guys that night to night, I think when they don't hit their numbers, I think they get a little uncomfortable, especially the game gets tight. If it's a game like last night where everybody's cooking from the beginning and it's very clear that it's Mikhail's night, it's Cat's night. Let's go win by 20 with Brunson. I'm only have 6 points. It doesn't really matter. We won by 30. My thing is like they predetermine going into each game who's going to be the one to take them home. And I think Brunson deserves, this is like part of the NBA product. I think that your best player will have the ball at the end of the game. It's just a part of the NBA product. It's been that way for decades. But one of the reasons why the Knicks are a dangerous team is because in the way that they were built is they have Brunson and they've built a team that can spread you out and play 5-out basketball. That's only as dangerous as much as you exploit the mismatches. And the Knicks will have situations like Brunson will be guarded by another team's jumbo wing, which leaves the other team's point guard being guarded by Mikal Bridges. Theoretically, you would think, let's just give the ball to Mikal and let him go shoot over a 6'2" guard, because they're doing it to us on the other end with Jalen Brunson. They're hunting all the mismatches with Brunson and Cat. So can this team put their statistics aside and put their regular season kind of accolades aside? Because I know we talked about regular season and postseason. The postseason only amps up the intensity and the spacing and all those kinds of things. I think if the Knicks have this issue where they fell into last year, where guys at the end of the year had questions about their role, and then you saw it in the 2-9 stretch, guys were starting to bicker and point the fingers and questions about professionalism. Maybe it was because of the trade deadline talks, but their chemistry has to be elite, cerebral, we got to win every possession type level basketball. And I don't know if this team has developed that habit just yet. And I don't know if that's a habit that you can just pick up when the adversity hits at the highest point of competition. So that's my number one concern. And then I look at other teams out there, and especially Detroit. I think Detroit is a team that, this is going to sound corny, but it's very important in sports. They're a team that loves each other. Like, they are selfless. Their players love each other. They're together. They kind of like don't care if they score, like Javonte Green, Ron Holland, Asor Thompson, Paul Reed, even Tobias Harris, even Dennis Jenkins. Like, these guys don't care if they know who Cade is, their guy, and they're very comfortable with it. I think there's a little, subsect of the Knicks locker room, if you could just open up their mind and get like a transparent thought. And I've heard some some reports rumbling out of the NBA beat reporters that sometimes the players don't really love it, their process of how they play basketball. So I think putting the roles aside for a given game, they have to be malleable. They have to be able to attack each game with an intense wisdom about it, because you cannot go into each game predetermining I need to score this amount of points. Some games don't dictate that.
I agree with that. We got listeners chiming in. The company Ajay says this is probably exactly what this team needed. Unfortunately, we also need Cat to stop making these terrible fouls. How do you foul out with 4+ offensive rebounds? You got Josh B. The Bridges mid-range game is elite. Gotta give credit to the Pistons uppers. They have early draft picks and made the best of them. So I'm gonna talk about what you just said about the Nick and the locker room. I just found it odd, and I keep hitting this and hammering it. So for the sake of not being redundant, I'll just preface it by saying that but the game before or the day before the start of the season, Cat was asked about his role within the offense. And he said, "I don't know." And I'm like, that's weird that the second best player on the team that's
Mm-hmm.
trying to win a championship just doesn't know what his role is on offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of been like proof positive that statistically, like offensively across the board, efficiency numbers, points, and all that, it's one of his worst seasons. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not to say he's been unproductive. Obviously, he's an all-star. Like, he's been really good. But I thought that was weird. I thought the Mikal Bridges after the Raptors game, I think it was, when he went off and he's like, I had to look myself in the mirror because I felt entitled. And I'm thinking to myself, zero-time All-Star, zero-time All-NBA
Mm-hmm.
player, zero-time champion, Mikal Bridges feels entitled. Like, something's wrong with that. So to your point, like role definition, and Phil Jackson's talked about this before, like how like that's the toughest part of the job, like managing egos and roles. So it's not that the Knicks don't have the talent. They clearly do. It's just to your point, like, can they get the right mix in the biggest games of the season? And if they can, then they absolutely can win multiple playoff rounds. Like, that's their ceiling is getting to the finals, I think.
I think one thing that they've done in this recent stretch of winning that's been good is they've built a ethic of how they want to play. And some of the guys off the bench, whether it be Landry Shamet, I know Deuce is out probably until the playoffs start, but Landry, Mitchell Robinson, Alvarado now, Mohamed Diawara. I think getting a guy like Sohan in now on the buyout market. And banishing Kolick and Clarkson to the bench, I think what they're doing now is they're basically saying, if you don't have a defensive first mindset, you're not
Yeah.
going to play. If you don't have 50-50 ball ability to grab loose balls or to take charges or slide your feet and do those necessary things within the context of a game to compete at all 48 minutes and keep the point total down, to give us a chance to get through the sluggish parts of our process, you're not going to play. And I think what that does, you've seen it in the Sixers game a couple weeks ago, where Mikal shot 3 for 16. Landry Shamet was closing the game. Karl
Yeah.
Anthony Towns struggling. Mitchell
Mhm.
Robinson was closing the game. So,
Which helped
I
them.
didn't really buy the Mikal Bridges quote. I thought people ate that one up a little bit too much from my perspective. I'm not a big Mikal Bridges guy. I'm one of his biggest critics on the timeline and Nick's Twitter. I just think he's too avoidant of contact for my taste of a supposed two-way player.
Yeah, it's
But
not
he
his
just
game. I don't think that's his game. Like,
yeah,
you
I
watch
feel
him
like
in
that's not a good
Phoenix.
enough. I don't think that's a good enough excuse. I really don't. I think you got to go down there and you gotta get a foul. It opens up your mid range game. If it's not part of his game, he wasn't coached well. Because it's. I'm watching Quentin Jackson take the ball to the cup. I'm watching Landry Shamet take the ball to the cup. I'm watching Alvarado take the ball to the cup. I just think whether it's the Iron Man streak, which it just sounds corny that you would elevate that
Yeah, I
over
don't think
helping
it's
your
that.
team.
I don't think
I
it's
don't
that.
think it is that. I just think he is just he doesn't like the physicality. Doesn't like you have two players. This is my theory about the Knicks in terms of like what is the needle mover. The rest of the whole team is second round picks or late first round picks. OG Anunoby 23, Landry Shamet 26, Josh Hart 30, Jalen Brunson 36, Miles McBride 30, Brunson's like 33, McBride 36, Mitchell Robinson 36, Alvarado undrafted. They have two players that are lottery picks on the team, and that's
Bridges
Mikal
and
at
Cat.
10
And
and
Cat.
then Cat at 1. And this is where the entitlement comes in. You have one guy that he's been in 11 years in the league, and you still can't figure out why he keeps getting in foul trouble. And you have Shaquille O'Neal telling him, dude, you gotta stop picking up these fouls. I got Vince Carter going up to him, talking to him before the games, probably telling him, hey, man, we can get you to that elite level. Like, at what point is the light going to turn on for him to not be so emotional in the physicality. So you have one guy who can't handle it emotionally, and then you have another guy, Mikal Bridges, who literally will do everything in his power to avoid the contact. So I think that those two guys are going to be the biggest markers of whether Leon Rose got this right or whether he got this wrong. And I think those two guys are, because if you don't get those guys, you stay neutral, you keep your assets, and you can make a different move. Mm-hmm. But when you went all in and you got Karl-Anthony Towns, and you went all in and you get, Karl-Anthony Towns a little bit lateral, but you still gave up a pick. You still gave up Dante DiVincenzo. Definitely when you went and got Mikal Bridges, that was an all-in move. You can't go anywhere else.
Which, by the way, probably factors into why a guy can feel entitled. Like when your team trades 5 first-round picks for him, yeah, I mean there might be a sense of entitlement. But I listen. I
have a theory. I have another theory. When these guys watch film, it's not like us as fans. Like, yo, JB, you're the man. Yo, Brunson, Brunson's the best. When they watch the film, they're probably like, yo, if it wasn't for me, we would lose this game easily. Yeah. Or you know what I mean? Don't tell me what to do. You're getting cooked. You know what I mean?
Look at this play where I'm open.
Right. Right. So I think it's that little these, and I like the addition of Alvarado because it gets a guy, and I'm not gonna curse on here. I don't know what the.
I mean, do what you do.
Oh yeah, you don't give a fuck, bro. You don't give. He's coming in there. He's an undrafted kid. He's playing for $4.5 million or more next year, and he's gonna come into the locker room and he's gonna mix it up right away. So all that passive aggression, kind of like entitled suburban kind of background in this lineup that we have. Alvarado's going to come in here and mix it up. And I think that will unlock, a little bit of toughness that this team really needs.
You think they win the title this year?
No, I don't think so. I hope so. I don't think so.
But
your thoughts and your hopes are two different worlds.
Yeah, gun to your head, make a prediction, do the Knicks win the championship?
I say no. I think what's coming out of the West is a little bit more alien. Like it's more like there's different body types out there. And it's not merchant. It's not gimmick. It's real. It's two-way. It's diverse. It's malleable. It's versatile. And you're going to have to play on your game for a 7-game series if you get there to beat a team in the Western Conference. I do think that the Knicks are going to get back to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they have a big-time problem with Detroit.
Yeah,
I think they have a big-time problem with Detroit. But gun to my head, I'm going Knicks over Detroit. Gun to my head, I want to see if I'm going to survive, and then I'll have egg on my face if they win the final. I don't care. You could say whatever you want. You were upset about Knicks fans talking. People could talk to me. Oh, you didn't have us win the final. Go ahead, talk shit. I don't care. I'm a final. I got a championship. I'm good now. I don't care. You know what I mean?
I think Denver comes out the West if they're healthy. Now,
I would love for Denver to come out if I'm the Knicks. I would love for Denver to come out.
But by the way, I still think the Nuggets are better than the Knicks.
Here's my pushback. Regular season wise, the Knicks have beaten Denver the last 3 games.
Yeah, but because see, here's the problem with that. The same Knicks fans who are going to bring up regular season are going to then use that as a reason why they're not scared of whoever, because look at what the Celtics did to us in the regular season last year.
Oh yeah, it's pick and choose. I'm not denying that.
When the regular season matters versus when it does or doesn't.
Yeah, it's definitely pick and choose. I'm just saying from a basketball standpoint, here's the thing. They're kind of built in a very similar way. They got the guard and they got the center. They got the scoring guard, they got the scoring center. Now, obviously, you probably take Murray and Jokic over Brunson and Cat. Yes. But I will say this: when you look at what's in between that sandwich, we got the wings. They got the wings. Mm-hmm. They got a little bit more heavy on the wings. We're a little bit more heavy on the guards. Mm-hmm. So I think we're built in a way that's very, very similarly. And also we have Mitchell Robinson that I think helps guard Jokic a little bit tougher because Jokic likes to play the game a little bit slower. Mitchell Robinson's a guy that can stand tall with him and get in his shot window and disrupt him a little bit.
But this is where pedigree matters too. The championship pedigree matters. Jokic, without question, is the best player in the series. And I also think that as annoying and unaesthetically pleasing as it is to watch, Mitchell Robinson, who yes, is a difference maker, can alter a playoff series, they're just going to send that guy to the foul line and disrupt the Knick offense. Like smart coaches are going to do that.
Yeah,
Some of them will be
Missoula tried
fair.
it and he got sent home though.
Yeah,
Like
but
like
because but
and
that
also
that
just
that
to
wasn't why they got sent home. They got sent home because they were awful from 3.
yeah, that's their game plan. They shoot a
But
shit
the
ton of
Nuggets
threes.
aren't that. The Nuggets are
Yeah.
a different team. The Nuggets
Yeah.
don't shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah, I think also the other part of the matchup that doesn't necessarily concern me as much is, Karl Anthony Towns sent Jokic packing for wherever you want to value it. If it was on the other side, I'm sure it would be valued. He sent him home a couple years ago,
He
and
did.
and I think like they're more inclined to allow Jokic and Cat to go one on one, and I think Cat would love that because he doesn't have to get guarded by a wing or a 6'6" guy with a center hiding behind him and doing all those kind of tricks up their sleeves that really gets in Cat's head.
I don't know.
Um, I
They might throw Aaron Gordon on them. We're like getting way too ahead,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that
I
was
don't. If the Knicks play the Nuggets, I would pick the Knicks. I'll say that.
maybe
Knicks
we'll
play the Thunder. I'm hoping.
I don't think they beat OKC or the Nuggets, but whatever. The Pistons series I think is interesting because it's like ho I wonder if you're a Pistons fan, would you like if you had a choice between playing the Knicks in the second round versus playing the Knicks in the conference finals, which would you choose? And here's why it matters to me. Like, do I want the Knicks to already have won 2 playoff series where they're
I
rolling,
was
they're
actually talking about this today.
peak confidence. They've been here before, you haven't. This is brand new territory for you. Or similar to last year, but just a round later, it's like, all right, we've got some familiarity with these guys. Like the NBA finals being on the line, all of a sudden it's just like a cloud hanging over you that I'm not sure if you're the Pistons, just because I don't have evidence of it, you're ready for.
Yeah, I think it works both ways. I was thinking about this earlier today. Actually, it's funny that you bring it up. I didn't even think about it from the both ways perspective until you asked me this question. But what if it works the other way, where it's like Detroit has not won a series yet, and they only win one, but then they go back and they have to play the Knicks in the second round. And it's like, this is the team that sent you home. And then
Yeah.
you face your first piece of adversity versus somebody that beat you before. But
Mhm.
if you go into it with 2 under your belt and now you're like, okay, I belong. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
gives you a little bit more of a premier status. But I do think that the Knicks should do everything in their power to avoid Detroit. And the best way they can do that is by securing a top 3 seed. So we pretty much know that Detroit at this point, even
They're
without
the
Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren for a couple games here, I don't think that they're going to slide back at all. They beat Toronto last night with Paul Reed going off for
Mhm.
23 points, which is hilarious. But yeah,
Former
they
Sixer.
just have a brand to them. They just, like I said, it sounds corny, but you could see from their social media content, these guys really do care about each other. They do
They're rugged.
protect each other.
And I also think that a large part of like how that series plays out will be the officiating. Because and this is not to hate on Oklahoma City. They're obviously very well deserving of all the accolades. If you watch Thunder games, what the officials allow those guys to get away with on defense is just insane. Caruso, who I love because he helped my Lakers win a championship, but between him and Dort, like it's just maddening. They're just grabbing guys like multi in a single possession. I watched LeBron the other night get fouled 4 different times above the key, and they're just like, yeah, we're just not gonna call it.
Yeah,
And look,
I think they're
it's
taught.
crazy.
Yeah, I think they're taught to play that way, though. I think they're taught to get into the body, play physical because they're deep teams. They have reinforcements. They have stunt doubles at each position. So if a guy gets in foul trouble, they pick up 3 in the first half. Here comes another guy, that's
That
able to
plays just
replace
like
them.
them. Yeah.
You know, so I
Yeah.
think they're taught. I think they're taught to force the referee's hand, and that's why when you build a team through the draft, low salary guys that are fighting for everything that they can, They're very invaluable. Like, I don't know the Thunder roster top to bottom like I know the Pistons roster, just because of the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. But I can assume in the Thunder's roster, they are stacked 1 through 12.
Oh,
Like,
they
I
are, and then
yeah,
like, how did they get McCain at the deadline?
yeah.
That just felt
That was a
unfair.
terrible move
I
for Philly.
like,
Philly
what was
should. I mean, if you're gonna pick between Grimes and McCain, you pick McCain.
oh, and McCain was a rookie of the year candidate last year
Yeah,
before he got
and
hurt.
I think he had like 8 points in a minute last night
Yeah,
or something like that.
I
He's
remember
a good player. You know, remember, I don't know if you watch college basketball, but for a while, Duke was like real, like, crumble under the pressure level franchise of a program. When McCain got there, one of the things that stuck out to me from McCain was like this kid had confidence
dog.
out the building. Like,
Yeah,
he was
that
like
dog.
putting his finger, telling people to be quiet. Like, I was like, this guy's a little different. Like, he don't belong on Duke. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's a player that has a lot of confidence. So him getting to 16th, I think overall, that was a steal for them.
Oh man. So here's the problem. Josh B. And how many times does the flop not get fouled and he flies across the court? Everyone does it. So I guess this is why Knick fans call me a hater, because it is impossible for you to watch that team every night and then be guilty of calling another player a flopper, as if we don't see Jalen Brunson do that all game long, as if we don't see Karl Anthony Towns do that all game long. So I'm not coming at him. I'm not coming at him. Manipulate the officials in the ways that you feel benefit your team and give you a competitive advantage. But a Knick fan making fun of LeBron James for being a flopper when you've got two of those guys in your starting lineup every night, I just think it's cute.
Yeah, I don't really get involved with the referees, to be honest. I feel like, I'm a guy that I've helped out high school football, high school basketball coaches. I respect the grind of breaking down film. Ain't no way these guys are looking at the referees and holding the referees accountable like fans are. And I think it's a cop out. I don't play that game. There are certain times, like as a baseball fan, maybe a little bit more in baseball than basketball. There's a time that one call could really just like, that was a strike. We could have got out of that inning.
Yeah.
A lot of the refereeing in the NBA, it's so much of it is up to interpretation. And then another part of it is like they review everything at this point.
Oh, that
So
that
it's like they got guys got like 2 challenges a game. Like, referees aren't deciding these games, man. The
which,
referees
by
are.
the way, I don't know if you remember this. So that Nuggets game, and I want to get to tanking in the All-Star game with you in a moment here. So that Nuggets game, Christian Brown gets called for a foul because he tripped OG.
Bridges got.
Yeah, Bridges, right?
Right.
And so it was consequential because like the Nuggets used the challenge, they win it, but they lose their last timeout, and it allowed Mike Brown to sub Mitchell Robinson back into the game, who got the stop on the next possession. So I thought that was like the officiating is brutal, and I think it's bad in all sports. Like the NFL is it's atrocious.
It's only a
It,
matter of time, bro. You already know
it,
where this is
it,
headed.
yeah, it's horrible. But man, like these reviews that like take the end of games like 20 minutes to get through. It's just
I was
it's
listening to Francesa the other day, and he was talking about how they built the AI in the football to like determine whether it got across
yeah,
the first down marker. And he was like, it was funny. He was going on a tirade. He was like, "You built the technology. Why don't you use it?" And I just think at this point the tech is gonna it
yeah.
has to phase out these arbiter people,
But
human
but
beings
even if
that.
But even there, so man, like just like the NFL does the expedited review and it's great. Like the NBA's got to do that.
Yeah, there's times where you're watching it at home, and they've gotten a little bit better in all the sports over the years. But there's times where you're watching it at home, and it's like, come on already. And if you're a player, I mean, we're impatient. But if you're a player,
Yeah,
it's like they want to play. They don't want to
I,
sit around and watch the 40 slow mo reviews. But would you rather them look at it longer and get it right, or look at get it very important in certain contexts? I want them to look at it as many times as possible. But early on in the games, it just Officials are officials. You know, I tell my kids all the time, even I teach the sixth grade, the kids come in off their weekend and they say, the refs screwed us. The refs screwed us. Said, refs are going to stink. You know what I mean? That's their job, to be scrutinized. Like they're just going to be someone's not going to like them. Like, what did you do? How accountable were you to your performance? And they look at me like, what the hell are you like I'm in sixth grade. What are you talking about? But I like to drop a couple gems, man.
It's a
Everywhere,
good
every now
life
and then.
lesson. It's a good
Yeah.
life lesson. All-Star game, level of interest on a scale of 1 to 10.
I mean, the USA World, the format is like, I'll give it a 2. It was at a 1. I'll give it a 2 now. You look back at the All-Star game in Madison Square Garden with Stephon Marbury and Kobe Bryant and these guys. Like, come on, man. These guys don't care like that. I know that a couple guys came out. I think Jamal Murray said it, maybe because it was first time All-Star. He was talking about how he's going to give it full effort. Wembanyama, maybe because, you know, he's coming over from Europe and, you know, it's just the ethic of the game is probably a little bit more respected over there, whatever the hell that means. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think these guys
Yeah.
maybe have a little bit chip on your shoulder. You know, it was really good. The NHL, in season kind of like a national tournament. And I think maybe they're trying to piggyback copycat league that and get teams to like be like, you know, mini Olympic kind of vibe.
Yeah, like
from it.
the four nations.
Yeah, that was fire. I like, and again, like I'm not a huge hockey guy. When the I'm at this point, I'm bandwagon. You know what I mean? Like the Rangers are hot. I'll watch the Rangers. The Rangers are in tank mode. There's no shot. I'm about to take off every night of the week from my marriage to watch sports. That's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? So I just think that the Rangers are there when I need them. But I'm just saying, like the formula. I think that they're trying to find a formula. The NBA tries a lot of different things to get meaning into these games. Unfortunately, they've dropped the biggest ball of them all, and it's not the All-Star game. It's a slam dunk contest. And the slam dunk contest has lost all of its allure. And that was something as a kid, you know, they got Jace Richardson in the dunk contest. I remember Jason Richardson, his dad, and I remember like I think my mom had something to do, and it was a Saturday night, and I was like, I made it my business to find a friend with a TV to watch Jason Richardson in the dunk contest because I needed to see that. This weekend, it's Valentine's Day. There's no shot. Like I'm not about to engage in this. You know, of course I'll check out the content on my phone, but
I just don't think there's a solution for the dunk contest because you get to a point where there's just no new dunks to do, and that's just like I know overly simplistic, but there's not much else creativity that you can add that's going to be like, all right, yeah, we've never seen that before, which is why we see like the props and cars coming out. Like that's it. It's lost it. The 3-point shootout, I think, is always going to have some juice because there's still a skill in that, right? Like it's one guy against another who makes the most threes. So I think the allure of that is still going to have people drawn to it. The All-Star game, man, can I just defend the NBA players for a moment?
Yeah, go for it.
The game's never been harder to play because of the pace, because of what they are being asked to do on the court, how much ground you're covering throughout the entirety of the game, 48 minutes. It's never been harder to play. And so when I watch Jason Tatum at 27 years old tear his Achilles in the second round of the playoffs last year, and then 2 rounds later in the finals watch 25-year-old Tyrese Halliburton tear his Achilles, what's my motivation for going all out in an exhibition game that nobody cares about?
Yeah, I think the only pushback I would say, Ty, is the nature of who they are as competitors. But outside of that, I think like it's funny. Like I was thinking about before I joined here, I was like, they call it the All-Star break, and the All-Stars are the only ones that they're not on a break. They have to go to work. They have to take photos. They have to, there's family members that want to go out to LA. It becomes like it's an undertaking. You know what I mean? Like who really wants to do that? You know what I mean? So I think LeBron didn't engage in it last year. I don't think he
Yeah,
played. Yeah.
last year
So
on game day, he announced he wasn't gonna be there.
yeah. So I think like we'll see. I'll give it a little underdog, like maybe this USA versus world thing
Maybe, right?
propels it. Maybe. I'll tune in. I'll tune in. Like the USA versus world gives me a tune in on a Sunday night.
I love it.
I
How
don't even
about
know if it's on at night. I think it's like
no,
in the
it's
middle.
5 PM. Yeah, it's a
Crazy.
5 PM affair, which is nuts.
It's
And I
crazy.
learned that this week. And that's the problem too. When it's like if it takes you if I ask you like what's your all-star game set up and it takes you more than 15 seconds to explain it, it's not a good setup.
Right.
It's an elevator pitch, but it's too
I don't know if I'm getting old or not, and I'm becoming a get off my lawn kind of character in this world, but to me, it's like AL, NL, East,
Yeah,
West. Like, what was the problem with that? Like,
yeah,
I
no,
want to see
I'm
the
with
best
you.
players of the East play the best players of the West.
I'm with
I
you.
don't want to see De'Aaron Fox with Karl Anthony Towns. This doesn't make sense to me right now. You know what I mean?
Yo, and then it's
So,
like, Giannis is out, but De'Aaron Fox takes his place. So
yeah.
you'll have like East All-Stars scratched out. And they're being replaced by Western All-Stars. But last thing
You
is
know what?
the
You know what? It might not even. I'll tell you what. It might not even be this year that does it. But if they have the discipline to keep the format the way it is, let's say the world just beats the shit out of the U.S. 2 years in a row, then that third year might be like something like,
maybe maybe tanking. Here's how I think I'd fix tanking.
got it.
Every lottery team, same odds. Every lottery team, same odds. I also would if you end up with a top 3 pick, you can't get a top 3 pick the next year. So you can't like the Spurs, the Spurs, the Mavs, like they can't get a top 3 pick this year because they had it last year. So everyone's got the same odds. Eliminate the ability to have a top 3 pick in multiple years. And then I also, to fix the regular season, and I've had this idea for a minute, let's start rewarding teams for seeding. Top 2 seeds, you pick your opponent in the first round. Top 4 seeds get 5 home games. Because now owners are incentivized. They're like, yo, they want that 5th home game for
Money.
the financial purposes. Top 2 seeds pick their opponent. Top 4 seeds get 5 home games.
Now, when you say pick your opponent, how crazy does that get? Like,
So,
let's say, is there a 3rd seed team that just lost their player out for the year?
yeah, whoever you want to play. So get rid of the stupid playing thing. Like nobody cares about
I hate
that.
the play-in.
So
It
8
doesn't
teams,
deter anybody from tanking, by the way.
yeah, 8 teams. And if I'm the Pistons, so right now the Pistons could pick whoever they want to play. You know, you can pick Raptors, Sixers, Magic, Heat, and then, Knicks would be a part of that because the Knicks are the 3 seed. Then after the Pistons pick who they want to play, then you'll have the Celtics pick who they want to play, and then work on the seeding from there. And then the top 4 seeds still get like all home court, but in this scenario, 5 games.
I
I think it
don't
makes
know
it
if
more fun.
that idea gets too like into the sportsmanship kind of thing that I'm just not. I think that creates narratives that are a little wild to me. Like even for me, I just don't even
Like
know if
what?
I would. I'm gonna choose who I think is the weakest. I mean, I think it's
Yeah,
natural. It's naturally selected by the record. I do like the idea of rewarding regular season performance, and I think like traditionally that's been built into divisions, but now divisions don't really,
matter. Yeah.
do anything. And I think a lot of that is a cultural thing. Like when you think about the history of sports, your region used to really matter because travel wasn't as accessible. as it is now. So like now taking a flight isn't an issue, but 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, even in the times like long time ago, it was a big time thing. So like I don't think these regional kind of things even matter as much as we give them credit to. But I do think like I like the idea of giving the top 2 seeds, a reward, maybe a bye
But
of
that's what
some
I'm saying. You
sort.
pick your opponent, and your opponent feels disrespected. So
And I
that
also like the
creates
home. I like the home thing too.
that creates some like animosity. Like if I'm choosing to play you, it means, oh, I think you're trash. And now there's a little bit of like an organic buildup of tension that otherwise wouldn't happen in a
Yeah, I got it. It's like a
distant
little. It's
Heat
a little
series.
Squid Gamey. Like you know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean? I
it's like,
like.
all right, you wanted us, now you got
Yeah.
us, and then we
Right.
play.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm like just trying to make the regular season
I
meaningless.
tell you what. I do not like the play-in. I think tanking has some ethical um undertones in team building that I do want to protect the team that definitely needs to develop in the draft. I do think that there is like the Pistons, for example. Like the Pistons aren't going to be where they are right now without building through the draft. Um,
Yeah.
I just think when it
OKC.
gets I think when it gets to a point where you are literally planning for the next year, like these moves with Jaren Jackson or Trey Young and Anthony Davis, where it's like, okay, we don't like the draft class from 2027. Let's make a contending move for next year, table these guys for next year, build up a young guy, and then let's go compete next year. That's where it starts to get a little bit weird to me. The idea that you had about back to back no top 3 picks, um, I think that's doable. Evening out all the teams, that gets scary to me because then a team might choose not making the playoffs over
Over.
making the playoffs.
Yeah, but
So
that's why I and we that's something I accounted for. But
like
that's why
if I was like a Knicks fan and they were the 8th seed and they had a game in the 8th versus 9th seed, I'd be rooting for them to lose because I got a chance at getting top player in the draft.
yeah, but you could also be the 15th pick over and your
I still
owner's
I
got
go I ain't going to win the title, bro, at the 8th seed, bro. Come on, man.
yeah, but
That ain't happening.
your owner doesn't want 2 home games?
Yeah, I know, but the Mavericks had that same situation. They chose
Yeah, but
Derek
that
Lively.
they were tanking because they wanted to keep that pick from the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah. I also
So,
think like I always think about it from this perspective. It's like I think the Knicks were in this situation where it was like guaranteed, like you would get a certain spot based off where you were in the standings, and then they tanked the right way, and then they changed the rules. Like, and it's like you have this situation where it's like you built your franchise, direction with a certain understanding of how the draft works, and then all of
mhm,
a sudden you change it around. It's like almost like I think about the Milwaukee Bucks and the concept of the CBA. It's like they built their team not thinking about the new CBA, and then they have a new team and they're not really forward thinking with it. So I just think like it's going to be interesting. I do think that they're going to do something about it. I don't know if it's going to be something so drastic though. I think they're going to do something like a marginal kind of adjustment to tanking. You know,
yeah. Well, man, this was fun. I appreciate you. I know you got these long days being a teacher, so coming off of last night too, where you were out
it was
late
crazy,
grinding
man.
and
I was
stuff.
out there till 2:30 in the morning doing content. I felt like Lil Wayne in the Carter 3 out the tour bus,
Wait,
man.
what were you doing after the game?
I
After
went
the
to so I went to the studio. We had a little post game with Dexter. Got out the studio around 10:45, and then took a train back to Brooklyn. And then I did some content. I did the Knicks recap with my guy Doug Lust,
Mhm.
who does like these Knicks recap songs, kind of like parody songs based on like who we play. So if we play Philly, like last night I did like the Meek Mill Dreams and Nightmares remix. So like that was cool. And I was there till like 2:30 in the morning. get back to my house at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I see my dog and my wife, and then I got to shoot the podcast at 6:30 in the morning, go to work, come back here. And it's fun. It's great. But it's just like, dang, like the further you go along in this process as a content creator, it's like the opportunities pile up. And I really appreciate you for bringing me on, man, and
Absolutely.
attaching me to what you got going on. And I think like everybody who watched, I think they enjoyed it as well. So shout out to everybody that's at home, man. If you want to check me out, man, I'm on YouTube. You can check out my podcast, and on Spotify. It's called Your Knicks. Where if you're a Knicks fan, it's just completely niche. We talk about Knicks over there. As the playoffs come, we'll definitely, cover things that have to do with you. Maybe you're a fan of another team. But keeping it niche right now, keeping it Knicks. You're a Knicks fan. You just want to troll us. Come through, man. On X, you know what I mean? On X, I get a little personal. You know what I mean? I don't like when people jump on my X and go crazy. But on YouTube, if you want to troll me on YouTube, have at it, man.
There
Jump
he
on the
is,
platform. Go do what you got to do, man. Appreciate you for sharing that too.
right there on the screen. Subscribe to the channel, man. Doing a great job building his following, doing what he loves to do. In addition to teaching the children of the youth, man, the youth, putting them on to game, asking them about accountability. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah,
What's your accountability? Yo, Poppa Left, man. I appreciate you, dog. We're gonna do this again. We're gonna do
absolutely,
this again.
man. And in person too, I'd like to meet you, man. Chop it up,
Yes,
and
sir.
salute you for the work you're doing, man. I appreciate the energy you gave me on this Wednesday. Was it Thursday?
On this Thursday, February
Thursday. I
12th.
appreciate you,
Yo,
bro.
get
The
those
energy you just
Valentine's
gave me,
Day,
bro. I appreciate it.
get those Valentine's Day plans ready, my G.
Absolutely, man. Frog in the Beach, New Brunswick.
Oh,
Let's
there
see.
we
Let's see if my wife actually watches my shows. Frog on the Beach. All right.
there you go. At underscore the six man, Papa Left. Appreciate you joining the show, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Be easy, brother.
Holla at me. Yo, I appreciate y'all. At Ty D Butler, subscribe to the channel. Hit me up on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube. You know the whole deal. TikTok, ring it off. I'm gonna be on television Saturday night, SNY, having a good old time. Sports night. We'll get it popping on there. Then on Monday, ESPN New York, I am doing the afternoon show DHR. So looking forward to that. And I'll also be doing this show here. So you guys know how we give it up. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Gotta get my son over to Taekwondo class. So up against the clock. But shout out to you guys. Peace and love. Till next time. Deuces.